Chair Generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with Strategic Command World War I, and we are getting ready for the big push. I am just now checking to make sure we are streaming there. Yes. Looking good there. And looking over on YouTube. Yes, it looks like we are good. And hello, Arno, who is first. Right. Okay. Let's make an episode here. And good afternoon to you. I believe it's afternoon for you. Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745, and we're going to be continuing a look at defending against the Schlieffen plan with Strategic Command World War I. Okay, they are going to get into boats and row over to here. Get on. And there. That was first. Yes, you're most loyal. Well, that's fine. Now, I think we're getting ready for the big push. What do you think, Arno? You think we're ready for a big push into Belgium? Now, here we're on the more defensive mode. So, let's see about a big push. Okay, I think that's worth it to take out their artillery. Now, potentially go further out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here, and yes, entrench. Gamer's favorite tactic for this game. Yes, we're going to push them back towards Hasselt. Not exactly sure where Hasselt is. This, I think, is coming from a flank that is not entrenched on. Them up. Attack here. It will allow a lot more movement. Okay, we're going to come here and yes, and entrench. I know we're talking about a big push, but that would just be damaging to us. And if we come here, Hasselt, there it is. I see. You know, I think we'll have the French take the town. They have more movement capable. Okay, oh, I thought they could get to there. And well, I am doing better than the Allies in real life. One, I don't know how well the AI does offensives in this scenario. Especially because I've just now uncovered this second artillery piece. So, and I have to look at the game to see is it even really challenging? Is it doing it? We killed one artillery unit, and there's a second one here. Early on, an artillery unit came along with a bunch of other infantry units here, and just put 10 rounds right on Liège, and then they just smashed into Liège. Okay, so they did that. Now they've not repeated that. I thought they were going to do that. They did take Namur, but Namur was not that well held at the time. I thought they were going to repeat that, like at Brussels and whatnot. And they have not been using this artillery at all. Now, one of these artillery units might have recently arrived, but at least one has been here since the early on, and it's been a long time since I played. So I have to wonder. Hello, oh, hey MMDB, what's with the bananas? I don't get the reference. I don't get the reference. So, sorry, just don't get that. Okay, I think we should. That's probably good enough to. I know I have some of these recon. Oh well, I have this guy down here. Well, we should have used him earlier. We'll use him now. I know we had him here, but I'm thinking about using him to push here. Oh, Arno's comment. Oh, okay. Doing better in real life. Okay. Push back to. I'm still okay. I don't get Arno. Well, who knows? I have a lot of really good British units here. Tear down these guys at great cost. Now this is sort of in the world one tradition of. Well, I think I'm going to give up the World War One tradition and be the smart one. Used to be at Battle of the Edge. Did you know that if Germans would have been held up a day longer in real life, the Germans would have invaded the Netherlands around the city of Maastricht to bypass the Edge? No, I did not know that. I did not know that that was at all like the plan or the idea. These guys can come in and yes, entrench and these guys can come in here and entrench. So we've created pocket, and I've stopped attacking here because I realized it was a stupid idea. Wasteful. unnecessary. Can't entrench. Oh, he's attacked. Oh, damn. Okay, well, I make it. I keep moving up. Okay, well, you can go into garrison. These lighter forces, we're going to move them up. Move up the command structure. Now, down here, now the question would be, would you have been, well, yeah, you would have been involved in your territory. I mean, you were involved in World War I anyways, because, not that you were a fighting nation in it, not the Netherlands, Denmark, not Denmark, the Dutch. Not that you were a fighting nation, but you were trading, mostly with Germany, but also with the Allies. You know, there are lots of spies and that kind of stuff. So there was definitely involvement, you know, in the war. It's not like you were, oh, I don't know, Ecuador or something that's, you know, just way off in South America and I hardly dealt with it. But would the Netherlands have fought? You know, would the Netherlands have allowed Germans passage through Maastricht? You know, you go, okay, just let them go through. Because that's what the Germans were hoping the Belgians would do. Just let them go through. So, I have to wonder about what the Netherlands would have done. Okay, well, we have a fort here. Okay, these guys, they can move to here, and then let me know what's down there. They got 2 points, so they can come in here and entrench. Wait for butter and horses around 1816s for help in designing 3 light cruisers. Yeah. And now, in the 18th century, up to 1800, obviously you don't have railroads, okay? You do have roads, but you don't have railroads. And there was a tradition that if you were neutral in a war, truly neutral, not, you know, sort of too much on one side or the other, whether you're in the war or not, but if you're truly sort of a neutral, and particularly big nations, but even smaller nations, it was thought permissible to march through neutral territory. Now, the idea of Maastricht, and I'm pretty sure, you know, if you looked at some of them are don't know how they would be to live in the modern day, but really cool fortress cities that still exist. And, that there was fortifications here in Maastricht, like it's showing here on the map. Not that you would let the enemy into the fort, or not the enemy, but the marching through side into the fortifications, into the cities. But if they were just marching by, you just sort of take precautions, close the gates or whatever, and call the troops to, attention just to make sure you're not attacked. And the enemy would march around the fort, because the fortification obviously isn't the full size of the hex, and just, march by. The roads would be used to bring supplies up and whatnot. And there's always some damage when you have a large number of troops moving through an area, including a certain amount of theft, but it often was thought, and sometimes the units marching through would, donate some money to the locals or whatever to sort of cover some of that. But so that your territory wasn't necessarily the idea that you can't go through it. And so that's definitely the 18th century mindset, and especially around this part of Europe, where there's been lots of wars, and also into, I don't know, what do we want to call it? The Holy Roman Empire? Do we want to call it Germany? Well, before the German Empire existed, you had lots of little states. And so, I don't know, the Hessians up here are joining the fight down here in France, and they march through Hanover or something like that. And, as Hanover being a different political state. And so, there was a lot of, marching through other people's territories just to get somewhere. So this was a common practice. Now, by the time we get well into the 20th century, we start to see even things like airspace above your nation as something that you don't want to violate a neutral's airspace. To the point when Reagan, after the I wish I had a bigger map here. Hello, Jemnuska. After the Berlin discotheque bombing by people supported by Libya, Gaddafi's Gaddafi supported lots of different terrorist movements, known for that quite readily. And after the discotheque bombing, Reagan wanted to bomb Gaddafi himself. And he sent some, I think it was F-111 bombers from Britain down to attack in Libya. And if I remember all the details right, one of them didn't make it back. I think the crew ejected fine or something, if I remember correctly, but one of the bombers didn't make it back. And part of what happened was France, another NATO member, Berlin is part of NATO, because it was at that point West Berlin. And I don't know in whose sector. I presume it was an American sector. But it was a discotheque in West Berlin, that was bombed. And American servicemen were killed in the bombing because they were known to go there. So here's a NATO member being attacked in NATO, not just a NATO member being attacked, I don't know, in Thailand or some other place, but a NATO member being attacked in NATO, wanting to retaliate for it. France, I think it was under Jacques Chirac, denies the use of French airspace simply to fly over France to go there, because these bombers were based in Britain. Britain was willing to allow that to happen. And they, if I remember correctly, because of that, they needed to be refueled, because I don't know if they flew over Spain or had to, how far around they went, but they went around France to bomb them in Libya and then head back. So, so this is a supposedly allied nation as part of a NATO alliance, and not just a, neutral nation out there somewhere. Hey, Holiday Punch. And Rhaegar, hello. The France had no reason. Yeah, but they did. A NATO member was attacked in NATO. France was a NATO member. So, and now France may have not needed to bomb Libya themselves, but denying the airspace to a NATO member to fly a mission, yes, in retaliation, but fly a mission there. So I'm disagreeing with the idea that there was good justification for the attack. So yeah. But so we get into the the latter half of the 20th century. Even airspace becomes something that you don't want to violate. A neutral's airspace. Yeah, you're absolutely right. France was in Chad, and Mali and others, but Chad was around that time. I don't know specifically in France. It heated up and went and cooled down. The war between, or the Libyan invasions. Thank you for reminding me that, Jemnuska. And I do remember that now that you're bringing it up. Chad was being invaded by Libya/Libyan proxies, and France was supporting Chad in a desert war against Libya, or Libyan proxies. So that was going on at the time, and I don't mean I don't remember the dates well enough to know if it was an active conflict at that time, but it flared up in the 80s several times. It would flare up and there would be fighting going on. Warmish war back then. Yes, exactly. And so there might have been a ceasefire or something on that date that that could even factor into it, that France may have had a ceasefire agreement with Libya at that moment, and they're sort of thinking, well, hey, this would be a violation of the ceasefire, maybe. I don't know. I never followed it, even at the time, that closely. I followed it, yes, as you can sort of tell now that I'm thinking about it. But okay, he can come up and he can't engage. Bringing these Belgians up to come up entrench against the Germans here. I'm going to keep some of the others a bit more. He can't entrench. He can't entrench. He can't. He could. Okay. That way we're just keeping close pressure on these guys. which will allow some of these other units to move forward. If you were to come here, knock. Okay, this division, yeah, I think we'll go north. The British should go north. The French should be a bit more going south because this is where their general is. Let's trench as they can. Well, okay. 1 to 4, 0 to 5, and they get pushed out. And these guys get to attack. Very good. Yeah, they can counterattack, but they're taking a full unit off the map. Yeah. Is there anybody that hasn't attacked? He hasn't. Attack. No, but we will entrench. Get somebody facing him. Entrenches. He can push to the north. He can attack up here to an unentrenched unit. But my point does hold that, yeah. About the ideas of changing from the 18th century into the 19th century, or into the 20th century, and you know, and it's not a clear cut. Thing, in my opinion, at the time of the start of World War I, as to what you should expect from going through somebody else's territory. Okay, well, now down here. He does not look in front. No, he is. Well, he's just a detachment, though he isn't correct. He is. Actually moving into the spider's web, if you will. All right, Arno. Holding Verdun very successfully here. What I'm sort of hoping to do here is inflict significant... Okay, we retreated. Fall back. Okay, now here. Well, if I... that. Well, I know this is a negative favorability there. Oh, why am I doing this down here? Well, so that, you know, I know I'm not dealing with a human here, but... yeah. But the AI is programmed by a human, obviously. So how much does the AI feel the pressure? I don't know. But it does definitely, when I've either wrecked a unit or completely shattered some units, mean that they have fewer units down here. And so they have fewer units that they would feel comfortable with sending somewhere else. Right. Actually, during HREA, some countries kind of had an at least implied agreement of permission military troops moving through territorial of HRE counties, with the exception of the Czech Kingdom pre-occupation that was avoided being dragged into the war to create a path for armies to kill the real target, right? Yeah. You know, and I can think of, you know, multiple time periods during, you know, the 17th and the 18th centuries, and various alliances going on. And then I'm thinking both up in, the Holy Roman Empire, if you want to call it that. And then later, you know, you have like the Confederation of the Rhine in the sort of Napoleonic era and whatnot, as well as similarly down in Italy, a lot of small states. So yeah, you've got this sort of convention of moving through others' territory. Anything left here to purchase? No, we need points for that. Let's look back here. Anything move up? Well, let's move up a few of these small attachments just in case it could be useful at some point. Well, he's been partially by. Yeah, okay, you got that guy. Yeah, see, you move into there, you aren't going to be doing too well. Now, all this scary movement down here is not going to get me to move anybody from the upper division up here, down here. Now, it may very much get me to shuffle units around. What I can do is hit swap so that I can fully reinforce them. Make a strength take a little bit of hit. They're one that's often being pounded on. They're going to do that. Oh, he can't move in. Oh, damn. Okay. Well, so, well, they can come on in again if they want to. I very well might, I say, do just exactly like this. Move stuff around because of what they're doing down here, but not going to weaken my main thrust. Now they're running out of supplies. Good. It'll take a little time to get that repaired, to get these supplied properly, but there we go. Okay, so these guys can come up here. Huh? Well, this Belgian division come up there. Okay, so now we've linked all this up, but these two particular places will take on here. Wave and wherever it will take a little bit of time to get the supplies properly coming. As we can see here, these are sort of weakening out here, but they'll get a bit better. Time goes on. Oh, well. It's mud. I sometimes wonder if the weather is changing based upon things like, oh, hey, you're doing too well. Let's give you some mud to slow you up. Let's... Hey, Sev82, how you doing? Very well. We're kicking the Hun out of Belgium. He is attacked. Hmm. Yes, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everyone if I don't see you before then. And thank you, Sev. No, I'm not. I just got some stuff I got to do a bit later after this stream, and I did not want to not do my stream as well. I do, know of it and could have played. It's just right now planning, scheduling stuff for me is a bit difficult, so I just mostly don't. Outside of what I'm already normally doing. And thank you, Jemnuska. Yeah, and I really have missed some good opportunities to collaborate with some of the really great guys that I work with on Slytherin. Um, and I definitely know that. Because, I'll tell you something. It's just like I've been talking earlier today about how, how good is the AI program to do this offensive. And since we've identified two artillery units that they have not been using, my and one was there from very early on, if not both. My confidence in this victory as being against a thinking opponent, it may have had the units, but as a thinking opponent is not very high from this perspective. I think they put a lot of effort into programming the AI for the Entente in defending, but I don't think they did nearly as much for the Germany, not really the Central Powers at this point, here in the West at least. It would have been better to play this against a human. Because obviously, there are some very good advantages here for me in that I know what's going to happen you know, whoever, whatever, there's a, looking backwards at history, we just know, oh, hey, the Germans are going to be coming through Belgium. Let's see, what do we do to, be prepared for it, even if, starting at that date. So it's gimmicky as it is. No, I haven't. I still have the save. Um, I'm not sure. I'm going to take a look at the next, once they let us know what the January schedule is going to be, to see if I'm scheduled to play more Shadow Empire. So I played it, I believe you were there, earlier than this week. Let's not do that. Let's tap here. And if I'm scheduled to play more for Slytherin, I'm more likely just to play it on Slytherin. Yes, you were the one. Okay, one of the good ones instructing me. Sorry, I don't remember exactly who was doing that, but yeah. So I have not continued since then, and I do want to continue that playing. I just don't know, just to give you a little behind the scenes, the way it works is, and I don't know all of the details from Slytherin side, but they definitely get directives as to what games to highlight. Often, of course, new game, or mostly it's new games. I mean, Gladius is one of the maybe rare exceptions that's not a new game, but has been getting some DLCs. So either it's a new game or DLCs, or there's some other reason to push a particular game, and there's sort of from my understanding, a budget of hours, both overall, how many hours that they want to have games streamed, and then what do they want to focus on? What games do they want to focus on? And I'm pretty sure the 40K stuff has been focused, included. Now, this, of course, is a larger strategic plan of Slytherin's group, is that they're making all these DLCs for their two main 40K games, Gladius and Battle Sector, because of the Henry Cavill information coming out that there will be a 40K movie, probably a 40K continuing IP of possibly series, and not, like a TV or, straight to internet or some streaming, series. Because I don't know if Henry Cavill's movie is going to be just a, because I'm pretty sure it's with Prime, if I'm not mistaken. Is it going to go into the theaters? I think so, and not just on their streaming service. But then, they'll make some stuff for the theater, that then will be supported by additional series that are just on Prime. And so that's going to bring up hugely the profile of 40K into a lot of people's minds. And yeah, I know there's, Space Marine 2 and uh, other 40K um, games out there other than the two Slytherin ones. But Slytherin, doing, I think, I really love Battle Sector. I think that's really getting close to the miniatures. Yeah, they're not individual Space Marines. They got individual heroes and whatever, but it's a little bit more unit based. But still, it's capturing a lot of, at least what I remember way, way back when, of tabletop play. So, and so they're working on that. So then I don't I'm gonna not say, um but it's a name, is our, and you may be already out there, and if it's already out there, our sort of wrangler, the guy who manages us streamers, will then sort of divvy up what games. They do have a sort of questionnaire list that is once or twice a year updated. That what games do, there's two things, like two different categories. I like a 1 to 5, I think it is, of how much I like a game and how well do I know the game. And sometimes, obviously, if it's a new game that hasn't even come out that's on the list, I may go, hey, I think I really love this game, but obviously I haven't played it yet. And so we have that, and he takes that into account. So there's like one game basically I just don't want to play, is that ICBM. I just don't want to. I don't know. I'm just not in the mood to joke about mass nuclear weapon stuff. So a little too close to home. And there's a few other games that I just don't know or play well or whatever. So they do that, and so there you get often people like DOS Tactic, who knows Shadow Empire very well, but DOS Tactic, I'm sure, doesn't only want to play one game. He wants to play some of the other ones that are featured there. So they sort of mix it up a bit, So I got some Shadow Empire, and I really like the game. It's just one. The interface is not intuitive for me, at least, and two, I just, with everything else, just haven't had a lot of time put into it. But I do really like, because I've read the Raj Whitehall series of books, and Raj is RAJ, like the Raj of India, of sort of a post-apocalyptic, out there sci-fi series that really examines certain things. So I like the genre. I think the game's really good. I just don't know it. So it's one of those that I like but don't know well, kind of thing. So yeah, that is just a little bit of behind the scenes. It's sort of how it works. So, and the Gladius thing that will be on today, that is basically entirely the streamers have sort of volunteered and promoted that up themselves as to playing a big sort of game. Let's see. Do you have Emperors? Yes, I do. I have that. Yeah. Do I recommend it? Yeah, I would say generally yes. They have some very good scenarios, like dealing with the Russian Civil War. And I'm trying to remember the other. Like there's the sort of Iraq push, if you will, during World War I, and some of the other smaller Balkan wars. I do like it. So yeah, you gave me some great advice on that. It's nice game, just a bit overwhelming to start. Yeah, there's a lot of mechanics in there. Yeah, surely the 40K stuff, I think, is selling. They don't give us any more information on sales numbers than you guys get. So yeah, I think it does sell very well. I I think they're happy with the sales of a lot. I quite honestly, another game that I like that I just don't have, and I'm sort of want to maybe play it on super easy mode, is the Stargates game. It's a style of game that I'm not used to playing. That sort of tactical, whatever you want to call it, game. I played a few of those. I know it's Stargate Timekeepers is the thing, and I'm more interested in the storyline than the style of gameplay that it's very very oriented to sneak around, sneak around, sneak around, um, and just knock the guys out and tie them up and put them in the bushes instead of you know Stargate, the series I love and I've watched through it, and I mean everything but that universe stuff, and the universe was just okay. It wasn't terrible or anything. um Definitely had a little more. They definitely have the idea of solving the mystery in the series, of course, but when they need to, they just start blasting and blowing things up. So I think that it's a little too oriented to the sneaky sneaky side, and a little unoriented towards, hey, let's brute force. Now I agree that not everything should be a brute force. How to go in with your team and just kill them all. But but I don't know how well that's sold. Um, I know I like I say like the thing, but Battle Sector I'm pretty sure is sold very well for them and whatnot. Yeah, 40K. I'm cautiously optimistic about Cavill stuff. Yeah, well, I'm cautiously optimistic about anything these days, but Cavill I'm more than most. Yeah, spiritual successor games like Jagged Alliance of old. Yeah. And so I probably was more excited for the game Stargate Timekeepers than I am excited for it now, just because of playing it. I don't know what would be a good term to put it. I feel exhausted with that game of um, reloads, having to you got to have your characters because they are um, storyline tied into things, survive, and you have to get the mission done in certain parameters. So I have constantly, and then I watch some of the other guys play it too, constantly going back to save game, save game, save game, save game, figuring out the exact timing of a Jaffa or two or three Jaffa as they're doing sentry marching back and forth with their parameters to get the whole thing just right. And to me, that just like it's exhausting. And so is maybe I'm definitely very honest with you when I play the games on Slytherin, but this is maybe a bit more than I would come out while playing it, just um, because I'm just not that big into that type of game. So if I was maybe more into it, I would know how to do it better, versus just being willing to put up with it more. Did I lose the internet? I think I did. Yes. Let's rebuild the division. I think, I definitely think the Stargate series or game shouldn't be a, well, let me look more serious down here. Shouldn't be a quote unquote war game. I definitely agree with that idea. Can't get back. Oh, damn. Okay, well, at least let's kill this guy. Did he get to there? Probably not. We will move that. No. Okay, we'll move him up to here. I was hoping he was going to be able to retreat, but it's all this damn mud. Okay, he can come up and entrench, which may help save that guy. Okay, rotate around like that. That way it won't be, they can get just a few units into him, that division. So back here, he's going to be fairly safe from being pushed on. I think there was a, and this is purely speculation, because sometimes I'm just a little maybe afraid that you think whoever, watching that I have, and sometimes they do get inside information, but then normally I can't speak on things. I think at some level there was for the Stargate series, because how little you kill, you're mostly tying up and the enemy and throwing them in the bushes when you knock them out. And how are you knocking out these guys? Okay, Teal'c in the series is, and he starts out as, a first prime of Apophis. So he's like, super badass among the, the Jaffa already. So yeah, so he's, a sort of peak Jaffa. But your standard Jaffa, you're not just going to tap them on the head and they're going to, go down all the time. And they don't do any of that in the series, really. They just shoot the guys. I think there, and I don't know what level, could have been, what is it, Warner Brothers or whoever owns the IP. It could have been somewhere at there that there was a, some sort of edict to keep the violence level down. That's just my guess. Because instead of knifing the guys, cutting their throats or whatever, you're doing a lot of knocking them out and tying them up. Where I would see that would be more appropriate for the worker types that are around, whether they are, believing in their god and whatnot, and just are working because, hey, they're glowy-eyed god people. Hey, of course I want to serve them. Versus, hey, these people, they're, whether they're gods or not, these are evil people forcing me to do this. I wish I wasn't here types, whatever they may be. But the worker, just your standard worker types that you don't want to raise the alarm, even like, oh, hey, we're saved, and, run around and tell everybody that we're being rescued kind of thing. Yeah, those types of people that you may want to, whether you knock out or you zat gun them or whatever, and tie them up. Yeah, that I get. The people that you want to minimize. But really, so yeah, I just feel there's a little bit been, yeah. Yeah, exactly, Arno. Good. That should allow us to reinforce these guys, reinforce these guys. So I'm not terribly interested in pushing up. Okay, right. We are taking out a few units here. Pushing away. I don't know if this is a good idea. Maybe we shouldn't be advertising ourselves, maybe is how weak we may be down here. Okay, so we can come up and entrench. There we go. Any more down here that we want to? Ah, there we are. Reinforce somebody. All right. Yeah, a little worried about that, but I think we can get revenge. Okay, division destroyed, but we now have good weather. And we are pushing for Liège and into Germany that way. Okay, so let's... I'm not going to let him slow us up too much here. Yeah, he can do that. Very good. What I was hoping is just this, that our horsies can come down here and take out this general. Okay, well, very good. Um, yeah, get some of these weaker Belgian units to do it so that the British units, when they get up with the Hun, they will be a bit more devastating. Move all the way back there. You come up here and take that. There we go. Yeah, you can count it down. Okay, let's get the aircraft moved up. Able to do some reconnaissance bombing next turn on Liège. And continue moving these guys up. Divisions are much more useful than the attachments. Well, they both have their uses, but I'm a little more worried about getting them. The garrisons are the weakest. You can move up and entrench. There. So can you? Don't know how much we're going to push through this forest, but we've got their troops in the forest now. Need to do a little bit of reinforcing. Attack on their flank. And come back in under cover. These guys we can reinforce because they're the most open to attack there. The second most open, so that's good. The front line fully up there. Yeah. I had several problems with Universe. Stargate Universe, if anybody's just jumping in what we're talking about. Okay, first off, there was a serious disciplinary problem with one of the guys, one of the soldiers that was stationed off-world. I don't see that as being realistic. I think he would have been sent home long before he would have, or never gotten off-world. I'm trying to remember. I don't remember all the details, so I haven't gone back and rewatched it. And so that gets sort of worse once they go. I get the concept of, oh shit, the base is under attack and whatnot. So you got a bunch of you have a bunch of ill-prepared people going. I get that. But they would still already be, and I get the idea of the civil military sort of mindset being different, but I think too many of the scientist types were behaving as if these are the type of scientists that you would have back on Earth, that in some safe academic world that are now thrust into this other thing. No, hell no. People going off planet in that kind of environment, they're going to be much more mentally prepared for that type of stuff. Now, the whole Stargate Atlantis team going through the gate, not knowing what they're going to find other than, a MALP or whatever, sending back that there's, air and breathing space or whatever on the other side of the gate. Okay, they're more prepared mentally for it, but so I thought the sort of civil military conflict as who's in charge, rebellion type stuff overdone. So I thought that was bad. Very much TV tropes, not what I would expect to be, in reality. I thought the whole communicator inhabit other people's body thing way overdone. Way too much of a combination of lifeline information / interference from Earth concept going on. And so, and the whole sort of various, interpersonal relationships, whatever, with several of the people going on and dealing with wife or ex-wife or whatever it was back on Earth that was interfering with the whole thing. I thought that was overdone. So the whole contact with Earth, I thought, was way overdone. And whatnot. So I really had problems with it. I get that it was meant to be dark, not just in set design, but in whole sort of premise. And okay, that can be done, but and still be a good show. Could still be something that I like. But on top of everything else, it was just like, ugh. And I thought they developed this other galaxy that they're going through. I know they end up leaving it pretty quick. I guess they're most of the way through it by the time they're showing up. As being, not being well developed. So yeah, and then the sort of fight to the death, leave behind some guys or whatever, and the different storylines and on some of the planets. I think they severely lost their way. It would have been if not just the sort of the TV term is MacGuffin. The Maltese Falcon is the MacGuffin of the story. The thing that everything rotates, the story plot rotates around. If they come up with, and they may have had, just never got to explore it, some really deeper thing to, I don't know, some mystery to solve that, but you actually sort of solve it. I get the sort of idea that these super long time ago ancients sent this ship out to somehow explore the Big Bang Theory or time or whatever, more than just explore. Not just, we're seeding this other place with gates, and so our great grandchildren can go out there and start exploring these other galaxies. I mean, that's okay, even if it's just that. But you need to have some sort of overarching solve this mystery thing, and they were sort of playing around with that a little bit. But if they had that there's going to be this mystery to solve, and it's sort of, dark and challenging, and you got to have enough people to, enough red shirts to die off to make, and still have a crew at the end, but to go through and make this a real struggle to get through, getting the ship repaired and solving the stuff and figuring out how to operate things and what's going on. Had you had a really good whole plot going on that you could develop over, 3 or 5 year period, it could have been a really good thing, but I didn't see enough of the plot. I just really sort of saw a structure to get these people off out there and then have events happen to them. At least that's all I saw. And let's see what Arno's saying. True, some episodes were great, but most were not really Stargate, in my opinion. Yeah. And why didn't the use the Hammond, the Earth ship around the base, Asgard plasma beam weapons to attack? Yeah, before the base was destroyed. Yeah, Destiny. They could make a new franchise. Well, this is what it. Since 2000, and I mean, I'd love to have one of you. I'm sure there's some small thingy out there, but since 2000, the entertainment industry, whether you want to call it Hollywood, but I know it's not just Hollywood because there are stuff, developed in Europe and other parts of America and whatnot. And you can maybe point to something in Japan, but outside of Japan, I don't know that since 2000 there's been any new significant IPs or franchises or whatever that's been created. Just nothing. And even things that were back in the day that were long old rehashes that they did sort of create a revival of, and what's coming to mind is the Addams Family, that really did have a revival. There just isn't anything new that they're just not doing, since about 2000, it's just nothing. At least that's my impression. And which is part of the reason why I just don't really care anymore about any of this stuff. You'll find it, for me, hard pressed to go, oh hey, yeah, I like something that's new out there. And it's not just, oh, gamer doesn't like anything new. No, it's gamer just hasn't seen anything new that's decent. And oh, Marvel whatever thingy. I've never been terribly into superhero comics or the franchise. I mean, when it's good, it's good, and I've liked, some good Batman and some good Superman, but it's never been like hurrah. It's more like, oh hey, it's in the theaters and it's supposedly good. Okay, I'll go watch it. Or oh hey, it's made it to cable or something, and okay, I'll watch it then and enjoy it. It's not like it's a must-see thing for me. So, but even that, they're just rehashing old stuff and remaking old stuff. Sometimes better than others, but it's just like, Yeah, current Hollywood is incapable of making good stuff since 2 years. Okay, you think it's even more recent? Is that Cold War created a boom in artistic creativity? We had movies like Rambo, Predator, Alien, and it was great. Yes, they're Cold War. I have not watched The Expanse. I've heard good things about it. I'm sure, and I like I say, I have heard good things about it. I'm sure the reason I didn't watch The Expanse when it was first coming out was just because my, um, you know, not expecting anything good, low expectations. Just that, so it hasn't. First couple of seasons were great, and I'm not saying that The Expanse isn't good, and I'm not saying The Expanse isn't new, but it's not really birthed. Sometimes these things can take quite a while, and Star Trek died originally, and then came back. Because I found it in its dead period because it was originally made too young for me to see first run, so I was watching the reruns as that was sort of coming back to life, and then I went first day to Star Trek the Motion Picture when it hits in the theaters, and so that took a fair long time to come back, and so something like The Expanse 10-20 years from now may be a really big franchise. But we can even look at something also not quite as new as Expanse, but Firefly. It dies and sort of does get a conclusion movie, but that's just something that's just barely there. Based on a book series still unfinished. Okay, good to know. Also, another time period that is incredibly creative is the interwar period, and that's where most of the comic book heroes show up. And unfortunately, the ones I like, particularly the Shadow, the Phantom's okay. I sort of like that. Doc Savage, love that. That were books or mostly serialized publication books that eventually maybe, meaning published in monthly, published as well as comic books, and very bad movies early on. But also you have Flash Gordon and Buck Rogers that are comic books, books back then, as well, of course, serial movies, and a bunch of other stuff, including one thing that I've not read, but I've heard about. It's a comic book series. I forget the name of it, but it's sort of set in and around China and Asia, around sort of an American pilot and crew, but it's very stereotypical, and they have Japanese and Chinese characters. The Japanese are the bad guys, and it's starting, in the 30s before World War II. But, it's what a lot of modern people go racist. I don't know that it's racist. Stereotypes aren't necessarily racist. They're just stereotypes. At least in my opinion. I mean, some stereotypes are racist, yes, but just because they're stereotypes doesn't mean they're racist. You don't have to say fat American. We all know it's Americans, so they're fat. I mean, it just is. So, that looks like a good adventuring series, comic book series that just dead. Maybe it just wasn't that good. I just think it was set in the, sort of interwar period and continued into World War II for a while, and just wasn't relative to the Cold War. And so it wasn't something that, and I just like that period in history. So it wasn't something like Batman or Superman that just could be updated to, the modern time period, so. And so there's a lot of good Pulp Fiction that some of the stuff like Batman and Superman are still with us heavily today. Another great series that I love that did hang around is The Saint, Leslie Charteris. I really, really liked, again, the interwar and World War II settings of The Saint. He continues to write, and And the Saint doesn't get older, but continues into the modern period. And of course, the Roger Moore series, and then there was the Val Kilmer movie. The Val Kilmer movie is just it's sort of using some of the concepts, but sort of taking it over the top in many ways from the original stuff. But if you look at some of the original Saint books, they were great adventures. And those are some of the stuff that I think would make great series that if you just set them back in their original settings, of the 1930s. But maybe nobody wants. Well, no, I'm not. I'm going to say nobody wants it because nobody's seen good stuff, made set in the period. And so, yeah, I really think the interwar era, and I don't know how much is because some of the stuff starts in comic books, some of the stuff starts in serialized pulp fiction. I don't know if any of it really starts as radio, but maybe the Shadow starts as radio. Because a lot of these things also have radio series back in the day. And some of the stuff, because the Shadow was voiced for quite a while by Orson Welles. And so there's a lot of stuff. And I did like the Alec Baldwin's Shadow movie, though it sort of again jumps canon a bit, but there's a lot of good stuff that I think would be popular if just done well. It just takes doing it well. But you're right that there was I would say the greatest pop cultural era was the 1930s. And that's where we get a lot of the pop culture that is still just being rehashed today. The Cold War definitely has a lot of stuff going on, and there's multiple reasons, and some of them political, in my opinion, that culture has just, since 2000, to me, and I know a few of you guys are a bit older, but I've just, compared to what it was before 2000, and even the stuff I didn't, overly like back then, is just head and shoulders above most of what you're getting today. At least I think so. And I know some of this stuff looks very dated as the, special effects or other things that just sort of, and if you look at old TV stuff, and even when I watched this stuff, and I remember, not even necessarily being a kid, but being a young adult at the time, I look back at it now, and the sets, they're not up to, maybe today's technical standard, being sort of dated, and, the detail isn't quite, TV stuff. They're just sort of done cheaply and done quickly. Yeah, it does show its age for sure, but the stories are so much better. And so if you were to not like shot for shot faithfully, but go back faithfully to the right tone and get people who could write well, they could create great stuff based on that old stuff. But even then, it's still just continuing. So I think some of it is money. Getting somebody who's willing to put up money on it. Oh, and if anybody ever asks you to invest in a movie, never ever do it. They are designed to never make money. Some do make money, but they're designed to never make money. Oh, they make some people money, but they're designed never to show a profit. So you never want to invest in it. Because if they show a profit, they have to start paying taxes and other things. So that is why they don't. 。 Also, stereotypes are based on facts, yes, and they're based on and stereotypes are often exaggerated, absolutely, but they're often based on facts because not all Americans are fat, and the Americans aren't always um, the fattest around, but yeah, you sort of take them, and they can be stereotypically. Because one thing I have recently been watching is the Charlie Chan movies. Again, trying to focus on the ones that are interwar and World War II, as opposed to because they continued into the post-war era. And they sort of play sort of stereotypes of Chinese, and Charlie Chan is always played by a non-Chinese person, though his family members are played by Asians, whether they're I think mostly Chinese. There might be some Japanese in there. I don't know, but he's played stereotypical by the Western perspective, but played as a very smart and bright and capable person, but sort of highlighting certain like supreme politeness kind of things and other sorts of things that the Westerners experienced or thought, with the Chinese. Chinese aren't always polite. It's just when they're, trying to get something from you, they're super polite kind of thing, So, so they play up certain certain stereotypes for sure, but it's not necessarily done in a negative way, even back then. Sadly, shifted in the movie kind of tied up the loose ends. Yes, I am sort of glad that it got the movie to tie up the loose ends there on Firefly. Yeah. Let's see. MMDB was born in 2001. Only seen a few older films, but that said, I thought they've been, I guess, good, but also anachronistic. Well, even from what my perspective, I've always loved old movies. But I would probably argue, now, some of it just may be my taste, but I think as a craft of movie, probably the top 5 movies, and I definitely have 2 or 3 of them in mind right now, but probably the top 5 movies were made before 1950. And that's of all time. And movies were sort of dying in the 1970s, and it is sort of Star Wars and a few others that bring movies back. I mean, they were really thought to be dying out, to just going to television. And then the sort of blockbuster happened, because movies before, oh yeah, you got Gone with the Wind, and that was a blockbuster. But and the term blockbuster comes from the idea of lines going around the block of the waiting to get into the theater, and not just like on opening day. Because Star Wars, it had a limited release because, hey, it was just some funky sci-fi movies that never do terribly great. If they have a small budget, they could maybe make money back in the day. But those were just sort of like little, like horror films were also sort of very minor things back in the day. Especially that. But it was really, Star Wars was, weeks later, you were still lining up for hours to get into the limited number of seats to watch that, as in the earliest days. So yeah, movie theaters were dying, were going out, were disappearing, and Star Wars and a few other movies save it as a medium. Now they're dying again, partially, I think, because they are so bad. And you could also look at COVID. That definitely puts a big nail into some of the things. But also that it's no longer a small or even a medium-sized CRT TV that you have at home that's, grainy dots. You now have theater class stuff that is fairly affordable for a lot of people that you just have in your home. So why, Chinese are extremely rude and selfish, but movies of old try to show a world better than. No. Well, Ragar, I really, really think it was the impression of the Europeans or Anglos or whatever, because the Chinese would be, here in America, a lot of Chinese immigrants would be very polite to their customers, the the Anglos here in America, or their superiors, because they're hierarchical, so they would be super polite to their superiors. So that is what the people were seeing. And so, and I'm not saying, I know you're adding selfish in there, but just if you look at the Charlie Chan, it's not. I mean, well, he's a a police chief detective and whatnot, but I would not necessarily say that they're being showed as being selfless, but I would definitely say as being super polite. But that's just, like I say, the stereotype that people were used to. Whether true or not, that's a different thing, like you're saying. And okay, you can get reinforced. Anybody back here? Now, of course, we're still seeing old IP being used today from long ago. A lot of like Shakespeare, Homer, the first, if you will, the first, with the Iliad and the Odyssey. And so you're seeing that, of course, still going on today. So yeah, good stuff gets reused and reused over and over, but okay, let's see if we do this multiple times, if it really will help. You need to take Liège. To get F in here to get supply coming through. So, but we'll try to get these horse units out. Okay. Again, mud for my turn. Okay, we're just slowly grinding this guy down, I know. but we are hoping just to do like what we're doing here. Um, yeah, there we go. There's advantage of the copyright already expired, thus they can do stuff for cheap. Yeah, that's a modern thing though. The copyright element. I'm sure I'm sure that's part of it, but I would say the big part is, and I'd say it's a mix. It's a mix of lack of creativity and, again, the real money people in Hollywood want to bet on a sure thing. So they want to bet on something that is proven. And sometimes in the past, you used to have people that were proven that were going to maybe not always turn out a hit, but always do something good. So whatever they were doing, you would back. But you look at even somebody like George Lucas. I know people are disappointed in him very much nowadays for selling Star Wars to Disney, but maybe and I've only it's been so long and don't know how much of it I really watched. TXH113 or whatever his movie. But what else has George Lucas done? Nothing terribly new. Star Wars is a mix of the sort of Buck Rogers, Flash Gordon, and samurai movies, particularly Hidden Fortress, taking a bunch of the mysticism of Campbell, blanking on his first name, that Lucas really admires. He's a religious, a history guy kind of thing, not a religious philosopher, but examines myths and religion and whatnot. But he's taking that, and so his deeper elements of the Force come from from Campbell, but the rest is just taking the 1930s and 40s serials for Star Wars and updating them. And Indiana Jones is exactly the same thing. He's taking again, the old serials and trying to update them to, for a modern audience, a true modern audience, not the modern day colloquialism modern audience, but quality. I'm not saying he isn't a quality director or more quality producer, probably a better producer than a director. But he's taking stuff that's, sort of, tropes and ideas that are there and are doing it very well, for sure. But it isn't like he came up with new. Oh, sure, it's not taking original IPs in the sense of a pre-existing thing. He just changes everything enough so that it's like the old stuff. And so, yeah, it's, so even that is just simply reusing older things. This mud. Move the divisions up first. We can. Now, let's grab this and anything that I can hit here. Let's just get this done now before. There we go. I'm going to leave the city open. If they want to come and take it, they can. I'm not so much worried about what's going on in this forest. Well, this is just, of course, we're going to kill this unit. Now, this is just a detachment, not a... You can move it to the front. No. Okay, let's just move up here and entrench. I want to feel threatening to them. I know you can't entrench, but at least you'll be there, but not able to attack by too many units. So, is the West in a state of decline? Have we seen our best days? And we're just fooling ourselves that things are going to progress and get better. I know that's what the politicians and the media would have you think, that, oh, we're progressing, progress, blah, 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 blah. And I'm not saying there isn't some technological progress, but I don't know how much there really is. Because without cultural development, you won't. I'm not saying you won't get a slightly faster computer or something like that, but the whole cell phone thing comes about because of Star Trek. The people, yeah, I know before Star Trek, you had cell phones, but you did have cell phones before Star Trek, but they were big ass things that were in cars. And you did have the shoe phone. I do believe Get Smart is slightly predates Star Trek with his shoe phone. And you had Dick Tracy and his watch phone back in the 1930s. But really, it's the Star Trek communicator that inspires people to make the modern cell phone, the handheld cell phone. But yes, you can go back to at least the 1950s. Pretty sure it's the 1950s, maybe even the 1940s. And they had cell phones in cars. They had car phones. Now, they were rare and they were expensive, but they had them. Uh-oh, loss of morale due to Aachen falling. Central Power's turn, 5 turns remaining. Okay, so we are entering the closing phases here. I think they're going to fail to take Paris. Oh, it's sunny and good weather. Or good ground, I should say. Okay, so they made it to there. But we can get Malmedy here. Okay. This is what they expected cavalry to do at some point in World War I, was to break through and rush deep into the enemy territory. Well, we're doing it. Okay, well, that assuredly worked. There's that fleeing general's HQ. Connect the rail lines up for better supply. Okay, let's entrench like that. Right. This. That. Wish I'd taken the bold step and got to there. They can't. Damn, they can't entrench. Okay, I thought they would be able to. Well, I have 5 points. Okay, I gotta watch the point numbers. expecting to have six, but just because low supply and being way out here, not necessarily. Now we're getting in here where things are a bit more densely packed, so quality becomes a little bit more important. Quality of units and whatnot. You come all the way back there. You come up here and scratch. Well, you survived. Another unit gone. Okay, so we are pushing on them. Down here. Hmm. Yes, you are. Okay, do we... So no one's taking up my question of, are we in decline? How interesting. Okay. All right. Well, they really are pushing the south here to try to take off pressure from the other flank. At least that's what how I feel that what they're doing. Okay, what we're going to do here is we're going to swap these two out so that this guy is with 94% readiness, where this guy is 53, and then we're going to come in here and we're going to reinforce him, which gets him back to 73, but still not nearly as much readiness and whatnot. So what? I'm a bit worried about supply up here. Because we can see here, okay, we got it through Aachen. Now that's it for railway. Oh, well, you know, I'm saying that a lot, but keep moving the commanders up. I know this mud is really sort of getting to us and our ability to move, and we're getting these very narrows, which is a problem. Logistics. Um, let's see what we do. Let's shift these two. Doing that so that he's going to be entrenched and maxed out, where he's now going to entrench. Well, let's... Oh, I'm doing it right. There we go. Okay. Oh, well, he can attack from down there. Okay, that works. That works just fine. Keep grinding away at them. Well, that's only a few turns left, but... Oh, looks like they saved that HQ. We get another division. Well, nice. And it's raining again. No, let's save this. Okay, save. And I will be right back. Just hang on for a few moments, getting a Coke, and then we hopefully will conclude this. Got just a few more turns left. Hold on. Let's see what we can do to defeat the Hun here. Let's make another episode here. Well, welcome back, fellow armchair generals, to what I think will be the last episode in defeating the Hun in the First World War. So let's see what we can do. Let's be smart. First aerial recon bomb it. Right. There we go. Come up and entrench. Let's come up and entrench. But we have supplies flowing up here. He is dangerously out on his own. Where? Oh. Hey, T2, how you doing? Okay. Right. And well, yeah. Touch you at least. There we go. Very good to hear. Yes, we're pushing the Germans out of Belgium. We're still owning a bit of France down here, but I don't think they're going to end up with it in the peace treaty. Okay, what kind of... Okay. Come down here with this. We're going to come up and entrench. We'll attack this next turn. Okay, well, that'll let's do this. Take him out with that. And you guys can move in here and try. There we go. And also entrench. Okay, good. You can move up. Let's get him moving up. Well, move a bit into German territory there. Okay, well, we have, not that we're going to get to use them, but let's put them on the boat. Two turns remaining. Well, I don't know if they should have hired me as their thing, but any sort of time traveler could have done a better job than they did. They would know what was coming. I'm playing this scenario because Arno asked me to is of course the main reason, and he wanted it played from the Allied side. I don't know that it's fair from the Allied side, but no, I have not played any of the War in the Pacific. Just haven't yet, really. I do want to try some of them out. I just haven't yet. Of course, Arno. Why do you think I was playing this? You were asking me and asking me. So, yeah. Stone. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to see if there was somebody there. Arloon, and I figured there was. Just turns to the flank of all of these guys here. Point here is not so much to kill the enemy. Oh, but that's what you do in war. No, that's not what you do in war. You defeat the enemy. There is a difference. Okay, we got enemy contact here. That is going to not do well. Okay. Yeah, I should have scouted that better. Now coming up to hug them close. Okay, let's guys out. Or you can still get you upgraded and get a division on the front lines that are tight there. Okay. Yeah, you've got the points. Let's branch that direction. But quite different. I think they did a good job doing stuff on a smaller scale. Yeah, that's like I've said before, my favorite thing the Strategic Command has done are these smaller scale World War I scenarios. I think the quote unquote rule set, how this works best here. That's my take on it. For the grand scale versions of the game, I also think World War I is better than World War II. I actually, well, no. I was almost going to say the American Civil War is better than World War II. The American Civil War game, and they have, several different scenarios and whatnot. What you see there, more so than you see here, more so than you see in World War II, is armies or corps or even divisions, however you want to say it, coming together at one point and having a major battle. And not just because we can sort of see grinding on some of these units. Yeah, that this unit here could die from 4 or 5 attacks, but that's just one unit. That's not all of these in the time scale. So things like Gettysburg, Antietam, First and Second Manassas, and all these other battles that you have that are really pivotal in the American Civil War that you just can't replicate with their American Civil War set. So that's, now if I could do combined attacks, and like if all of these units in here attacked each other simultaneously, including the rear area ones, the reinforcements, that would sort of do it. Or you could do this more of this scale, because again, that's if you went down to this scale, divisions and this whole area would be sort of Gettysburg kind of thing. To some degree, but the way, so if you were to do a campaign of, the Army of the Potomac versus the Army of Northern Virginia, or some such thing like that, that might be able to do very well. But just not so much. It depends on how they've redone, and I just haven't looked at the Pacific campaign well enough to see if it's something that I think is done well. I really do like Strategic Command. Obviously, I'm playing it, so yes. Oh, this guy's at 3. So what we're going to do here is we're going to swap him out, and then we're going to reinforce him to the max there. This way that there's a more fresh unit there. Move somebody, they'll just die. I mean, in naval combat, it's always rough. Still not sure what to think about it, but I've really enjoyed the smaller maps like Iwo Jima and the Solomons, etc. Yeah. And that's the other thing where I see Strategic Command failing, is naval. I like War Plan better for the naval. Because you have Strategic Command, you have the inability to stack naval units. Now, they all can be around each other, but depending on how things are set up, you can snipe out a major combatant and have the minor or other combatants next to it not part of the battle, where you can stack naval units in War Plan. So because that's really, the idea is really it's a fleet. You don't just have a battleship or a group of battleships or whatever. You have battleships, you have destroyers, you have cruisers. Now, of course, if you also add in carriers and whatnot, and if you're and there, if you got carriers and you're doing an airstrike against another unit, they should get that sort of anti-aircraft coverage from destroyers and cruisers for your battleships or whatever. So, I can like a game and still, criticize elements of it and think it's not. And that's some of the reasons why I'm not. I do want to try it. I really do like Strategic Command. I love that. Like I say, I love this scenario. Not just like it, I love it. So, now, again, from the playing it side, I think it's designed more and more of an interesting challenge, if you will, from playing it from the German perspective. Okay, I know I can get 2 or potentially 2 losses for 5 here, but he's on the front line and sort of surrounded. So we're going to do 2 for 4 to weaken him, hopefully a lot. But now, see, he's still there, and then take him out here. So these guys are still at full strength. up along the front. I really do mean I love these scenarios, and I like the game over, the game overall. So let's see, yeah, sort of looking to the south because you got the forest here. Don't know how much they're going to try to move up. Oh, should I? Yes, I should. Okay, I know that we'll have a little bit of an issue with supply. Next year, I should try to get into Shadow Empire this year. According to Steam, half of my gaming was strategic command. Wow, that's a lot. Yeah, I have been enjoying my recent what would be good to, recent playing of Shadow Empire. For me, it's more of a question of how well do I know the game, and not as well as I'd like. Yeah, maybe next year. Quite honestly, and it's for me to be satisfied with it, I need to do modding to it. The game I want to get back into next year is Hearts of Iron 3. Not the 4, but 3. Black Ice version, a version of Black Ice from that. That's what I think I would really like to do more so. You can't dig it. Can't move enough, so we'll dig in here. Hey ZZ, how you doing today? Oh, that's good. I know you'd sort of moved for a job, if I remember correctly. Okay. One turn remaining. I still don't think they're going to get to Paris this game. The Germans, that is. And you still do some damage. Wunderwaffe in their back pocket somewhere to reach Paris in just in time. Yeah. I guess that would be poison gas in this war. Okay, this Belgian detachment can move in and entrench. Do I? Oh, yes, I'm going to be spending it with family. So yeah, going to be doing that. No big thing. Just I guess 7 of us will be together. But yeah, that's it. You move here. You entrench. Or rotate the trenches around like that. You come up into here to hold this line straight. Yeah. Some years there's more people showing up. It just, family spreads out and things. So, yeah. No, don't even know why I'm bothering. This is the last turn, and I don't know if we're going to capture any more. Well, maybe we can get a few more objectives here. I don't think we can get Cologne. No, not really. Okay. Oh, there is. Okay, 0 turns remaining. Okay. I was figuring that was the last turn. Well, I would have played this slightly different. A little more entrenching. A little more push towards Cologne. move these guys up further. Yep. Yep. Yeah, this is the end. We're just... Stalemate is calling this. Well, I would call this a victory. Yeah. No, we didn't go crush Germany, but I'd still call it a victory. Maybe because they think the AI is easier to defeat. But yeah, pushing into Germany in October 1914, I think, there. Okay, everyone. Well, I'll be back tomorrow. Maybe a few of you will join me, and we're going to play some War Thunder. A few of us were playing last weekend, and we want to try to do more of working together as a platoon instead of just all randomly playing on the same map. So I don't know how much of that will get done depending on who's showing up. But you can see there. But if I don't see you, everyone have a very good Christmas. We should be back before the first of the year, but that. So thank you, T2, ZZ, Arno, going back up, Sev, if you're still here, Ragar, MMDB, who else? Thanks for hanging. Jamnuska, if you're still here. Thank you. Just scrolling up the thing. Yeah, Holiday Punch, if you're still around. Thanks for hanging out with me. I don't know what will be the next Saturday game. Probably something different than Strategic Command. I don't know yet, but something to play. If you guys got any suggestions, of course, you can quickly post it here or post it over on the Discord server. So I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but for next Saturday. But hope to see you guys. So thanks, everyone. Have, like I say, a very